In the quiet moments before dawn, when the world still rests beneath a blanket of fading night, there are performers who rise slowly from their beds, knowing that another long day awaits them. Their lives move in rhythms that few people ever witness, and their dedication begins long before the stage lights flicker on. They stretch their tired limbs, breathe deeply, and center their minds, preparing themselves for hours of discipline, repetition, and refinement. Because to stand on a stage with confidence and beauty requires far more than talent. It requires a body and spirit shaped through endless practice and care. These performers have learned that their presence under the blazing lights depends on the choices they make in the earliest hours of the day. They begin with gentle stretches, loosening the tension that settled in their muscles while they slept. They roll their shoulders, stretch their legs, arch their backs, and tilt their heads from side to side, easing stiffness that could become injury if ignored. Flexibility is not a luxury for them. It is a necessity. Without it, every sharp turn or sudden jump could twist a joint or pull a muscle, stealing weeks or even months away from the stage. And the stage is the heartbeat of their lives. Every performer knows the fear of losing the ability to dance or sing because of avoidable harm. So their mornings always begin with respect for their bodies. After stretching, they train their breathing, filling their lungs with controlled, steady air. Their breath must stay strong, even when sweat begins to pour during a demanding performance. A singer who dances cannot afford to lose breath. A dancer who sings must keep her voice clear while her body moves with speed and power. So they practice inhales that reach the deepest parts of their lungs and exhales that remain calm and even. They know breath is the anchor that holds every performance together. But beyond their muscles, voices, and stamina, there is another part of themselves they guard with remarkable devotion. Something that becomes a symbol of who they are on stage. Something that moves as they move and glows under the colored lights. Something that frames their expressions, their emotions, and the countless stories they tell with their bodies. That something is their hair. Hair is not simply hair for a stage performer. It is a visual extension of their presence. When a dancer spins, her hair follows, creating a halo of motion. When a singer leans forward as she reaches a powerful note, her hair may sway in a way that makes the moment unforgettable. A single flip of the hair timed perfectly with the rhythm can electrify an audience and turn a simple movement into a signature moment. Many performers treat their hair as carefully as they treat their voices because it is equally tied to how they appear and how they are remembered. Their relationship with their hair begins early, long before fame, long before bright lights. Many performers grow up practicing in front of mirrors, learning how their hair falls, how it moves, how it looks from different angles. They discover what lengths suit them, what textures complement their style, and what colors reflect their artistic identity. Some keep their hair long because its movement enhances their dance. Others keep it sleek because it adds precision to their stage persona. Whatever the choice, it is not random. It is part of their craft. Daily hair care becomes as routine as daily warm-ups. Night after night, they wash out sweat and styling products, letting their fingers move through the strands with care. They check for damaged dryness or split ends, because these small signs can quickly grow worse when exposed to constant heat and styling tools. Curling irons, straighteners, blow dryers, and heated brushes are used relentlessly backstage. Before rehearsals and shows, sprays, serums, and oils coat each section of hair, holding it in place or giving it a shine that sparkles beneath the lights. Their hair must endure extreme conditions, yet it must also appear effortless, light, and free. Many performers also use treatments at home. Conditioning, masks, oils, scalp, massages, and protective wraps become part of their routine. Some sleep with silk scarves to prevent friction, while others avoid tight hairstyles outside of work to protect their roots. They learn to read their hair like language, understanding when it is thirsty, when it is weak, when it is stressed. When hair begins to thin or break, they feel it deeply because it affects not only their appearance but also their confidence on stage. The pressure of constant perfection weighs as heavily on their hair as it does on their bodies. When it comes time to prepare for a performance, hairstyling becomes one of the longest and most intricate rituals. Stylists work section by section, crafting curls, waves, or smooth silhouettes depending on the theme of the show. Fans blow strong winds across the stage, so stylists anchor the hair in ways that allow movement without chaos. Strong lights heat the air around them, so stylists choose techniques that preserve moisture even under intense conditions. Lack of sleep can make hair lose its shine, so products are chosen to restore that sparkle. All of these decisions shape how a performer will be perceived by thousands of watching eyes. And then the lights come on. The music begins. A wave of energy moves through the air and the performer steps onto the stage. Hair immediately becomes part of the choreography. A simple turn sends strands swirling outward like ribbons. A powerful note combined with a sudden head movement becomes a visual punch. A slow emotional moment lets long hair fall forward, softening the scene and drawing the audience closer. The crowd never thinks consciously about the hair, but they feel its impact in every motion. It is part of the magic of performing backstage. After the show, performers face a different reality. Sweat sprays and heat have taken a toll on their hair. The roots feel tight from the weight of styling products. The ends may feel dry or brittle, yet they still take the time to wash, condition, and care for their hair again, even when exhaustion begs them to sleep. They know that rest can wait, but recovery for their hair cannot. A single night of neglect can cause damage that affects the appearance of every show that follows. So they stand in front of mirrors once more, touching their hair with care, undoing the work of stylists, and restoring the hair to its natural state. Even with all this care, time continues to change things. Some performers begin to feel that their long hair weighs them down during fast routines. Others notice that years of heat and styling have weakened their strands. Some discover new artistic identities that no longer fit the hairstyle they have maintained for so long. And some reach moments in life when a major transformation feels necessary, emotionally, spiritually, or artistically. Whatever the reason, the idea of cutting their hair begins to whisper softly in the back of their minds. For some, the decision to cut their hair grows slowly from quiet reflection. They may stand alone in front of a mirror after removing their makeup, seeing not only the tired strands but also the tired version of themselves that they are ready to leave behind. For others, the decision comes from emotion, a need to breathe more freely, a desire to start over, or the excitement of reinventing their image. And there are those whose careers require the change. New roles, new concepts, new contracts. All of these can lead to the moment when they lift a pair of scissors or sit in a stylist's chair and prepare to let go. And in that moment of letting go, there is a mixture of fear, relief, sadness, and renewal. Cutting hair is never just cutting hair for a performer. It is shedding a chapter of life, leaving behind the version of themselves that lived on stages for years and stepping into the unknown with courage and hope. It is an act of transformation that carries the weight of countless memories of every show, every rehearsal, every cheer from the audience, and every silent moment backstage when they wondered if they were enough. The journey of a performer is shaped not only by the moments they shine, but also by the countless quiet moments when they question themselves, reflect on their path, and search for the strength to continue. Many performers speak about nights when they return home after a long show, remove the heavy layers of makeup, and stare into the mirror, wondering who they truly are beneath the image the audience adores. The mirror shows their tired eyes, the strain on their bodies, and the pressure carried in their expressions. Yet it also shows determination, the fire that keeps them moving forward, and the dreams that once pushed them to step on stage for the very first time. Their hair often becomes a symbol of that journey. It grows and changes with them, sometimes healthy and vibrant, sometimes stressed and tired. It becomes a silent witness to every triumph and every struggle. Each strand holds memories of rehearsals where they practiced until their legs trembled, shows where they danced fearlessly, nights where they performed through pain, and days where they questioned if they could keep going. Their hair has been pulled into tight ponytails for fierce choreography, set free for emotional ballads, styled into waves or curls for joyful moments, and ironed straight for powerful, sharp movements. It becomes part of their story. Performers understand that audiences see the final, polished version of their work. They do not see the exhaustion that builds day after day. They do not see the early mornings when every muscle aches from yesterday's rehearsals. They do not feel the pressure that grows when a new performance concept demands a new level of excellence. The life of a performer is a balance between passion and sacrifice, between beauty and pain. They smile on stage even when their bodies protest. They radiate energy, even when fatigue threatens to collapse them, and all of it must appear effortless. Hair plays an interesting role in that illusion. When it flows freely, the audience sees energy. When it shines under the lights, they see confidence. When it moves with precision, they see discipline. But when it breaks, thins, or becomes damaged, the performer feels it deeply. It is not vanity but a connection between identity and expression. For some performers, long hair gives them a sense of femininity, softness, or freedom. For others, it adds strength or power. And when that hair begins to change because of stress damage or time, it can feel as though part of their identity is shifting as well. There are days when performers must sit in salon chairs for hours to repair damage caused by daily styling. Deep conditioning. Treatments strengthen the roots. Protein masks. Rebuild strands that have been stressed. Coloring sessions restore vibrancy to hair that has faded under constant lighting. And sometimes they simply sit quietly, letting the stylist work, feeling the weight of their life settle into the silence around them. A salon becomes more than a place to fix hair. It becomes a place for reflection, a place where they can be still even for a moment. Some performers discover that their hair becomes heavier, both physically and emotionally as time passes. When they were younger, they could spin and whip their hair for hours without discomfort. But as their routines evolve and their bodies adapt to new choreography, they begin to notice strain on their scalp and neck. Heavy long hair can pull at the roots, making certain movements painful. And after years of styling and restyling, the hair may lose its strength. It may break easily or refuse to hold the shapes it once could. These subtle changes whisper to the performer, reminding them that everything has a season, even a hairstyle. The decision to cut their hair often begins as a quiet thought, resurfacing during late-night mirror reflections or early morning preparations. They imagine what it might feel like to have lighter hair, to move more freely, to dance without the weight pulling behind them. They imagine how a new hairstyle might transform their stage presence. A sleek shortcut might show more of their face, allowing expressions to shine. A shoulder-length style might bring a sense of maturity or elegance. A bold, dramatic cut might declare a new era in their career. They begin to feel the pull of transformation long before the scissors ever touch their hair. Yet the thought of cutting their hair also brings fear. Hair has accompanied them through so many seasons of their life. It has been part of their silhouette, part of their confidence, and part of the image that fans recognize. Letting it go feels like letting go of who they have been. It feels like stepping into unfamiliar territory where they must redefine themselves once again. Will the audience accept the change? Will they still feel beautiful? Will they still feel like themselves? And perhaps the deepest question of all is whether they are ready to release a part of their identity that has stayed with them for so long. Some performers discuss their thoughts with close friends or stylists. They speak about how their hair no longer feels like it belongs to the person they are becoming. They share frustrations about the constant maintenance and the damage that accumulates despite their best efforts. They express longing for a simpler, more natural look, one that reflects their current emotions and aspirations. Those who listen understand that this is not only about hair. It is about growth, change, and the courage required to evolve. When the idea finally becomes a decision, the moment is often emotional. Some performers choose to cut their hair privately in a quiet salon with someone they trust. The room feels still and heavy with meaning as the stylist lifts the first lock of hair. Some performers close their eyes, taking a deep breath, feeling both fear and relief wash over them. Others watch the process with steady determination, wanting to witness the transformation with open eyes. In that moment, every memory tied to their hair seems to rise to the surface. The early rehearsals filled with hope. The intense shows filled with adrenaline. The nights of doubt, the days of triumph. All of it woven into the strands that now fall softly to the floor. When the cut is complete, they look into the mirror and see a new version of themselves staring back. A version lighter, freer, and sometimes stronger. Their reflection feels different but not wrong. They begin to realize that their strength, identity, and artistry never lived in their hair. They lived within them all along. The hair merely helped express the truth that already existed. This realization brings a quiet sense of empowerment, and many performers describe this moment as one of the most liberating experiences in their lives. The transition after cutting their hair is also a journey. Wearing a new style. For the first time on stage brings a mix of excitement and nerves. They learn how the new cut moves, how it reacts to wind sweat and lighting. They discover that certain movements feel easier without the weight of long hair. They explore new expressions, new poses, and new forms of confidence. Fans react with surprise, admiration, and curiosity. Some adore the new look immediately. Others take time to adjust. But what matters most is how the performer feels. And many feel reborn, as if they have stepped into a fresh chapter of their story. Even after the transformation, they continue caring for their hair, learning new routines that match the new length and texture. Healthy hair becomes easier to maintain, and styling becomes less strenuous. They begin to appreciate the simplicity that comes with change, and often they feel grateful for the courage that allowed them to take the first step. Their journey with their hair continues, but now it carries new meaning and reflects a new version of who they are becoming. As performers step into a new chapter after cutting their hair, they begin to notice changes not only in their appearance but in the energy they bring to the stage. With every rehearsal, they learn how their new hairstyle responds to movement, how it lifts when they spin, how it settles when they bow, and how it frames their face when they sing with emotion. Some discover that the absence of heavy long hair grants them a freedom they had nearly forgotten. They move faster, jump higher, and glide through choreography with a renewed sense of ease. Their bodies feel lighter, as if a weight has been lifted both physically and emotionally. The audience begins to recognize this transformation as well. They see the same performer they adore, yet they sense something different, something brighter. The performer stands taller, smiles more confidently, and expresses themselves with new clarity. The change in hair becomes a symbol of rebirth, a quiet declaration that they are growing, evolving, and embracing the next stage of their journey. Fans often respond with admiration, noticing how the new look enhances the performer's charisma, making them appear stronger, bolder, or more refined. The reactions fuel the performer's confidence, giving them assurance that their decision was not only brave, but right. Behind the scenes, their routines adjust to match their new identity. Shorter hair often requires less preparation, freeing up time for rest, reflection, or deeper focus on their craft. They find themselves exploring new styling possibilities, new shapes, new textures, and new expressions. They experiment with softness, sharpness, volume, or minimalism, searching for the version of themselves that aligns with their artistic vision. This exploration becomes part of their evolution as performers. It reflects their willingness to adapt, grow, and experiment without fear of judgment. With each passing week, they feel more aligned with this new version of themselves. Their hair moves differently under the lights, catching angles that reveal expressions once hidden by long strands. The audience can see their eyes more clearly, notice subtle emotional details, and feel more connected to their performance. Hair becomes less of a barrier and more of an extension of self-expression. The performer realizes that their artistry has expanded, allowing them to express vulnerability, strength, and emotion with greater transparency. But even as they embrace this new chapter, they cannot ignore the memories held by their previous hair. The years spent caring for it, styling it, and performing with it are deeply woven into their story. The cut did not erase those memories but transformed them. The past becomes a foundation, a reminder of where they came from and the resilience that brought them to this point. Their journey is no longer defined by the length of their hair, but by the depth of their spirit and the courage it took to evolve. Friends, colleagues, and stylists begin to comment on how different they seem, not just in appearance but in aura. They speak of a glow that was not there before, a sense of peace or confidence that radiates naturally. This shift is not superficial. It arises from the inner growth that accompanies major change. When performers take control of their appearance, they often rediscover control over their emotional and creative lives as well. The decision to cut their hair becomes symbolic of choosing themselves, choosing their well-being and choosing their future. As they continue performing, they experience new moments of connection with their craft. When they stand on stage, they feel more present, more grounded. Their movements are not burdened by the weight of old expectations. Their voice feels clearer, their emotions more accessible, their steps more intentional. It is as if removing the hair removed the doubts that clung to them silently over the years. They realize they are no longer performing to fit an old image but performing to express their true identity. This transformation extends beyond the stage into their daily lives. They wake up with lighter hearts. They look in the mirror and see someone who dared to choose change, someone who took a step toward authenticity rather than remaining in comfort or habit. This sense of liberation affects how they speak, how they move, and even how they relate to others. The confidence gained from a single decision spreads into every corner of their life, reminding them that they have the power to redefine themselves at any moment. As time passes, they also begin to understand that hair will always grow, change, and evolve just as they do. Cutting. It was not an ending, but a transition. The start of a cycle that mirrors the continuous growth of their spirit. Their career may bring more transformations in the future. More reinventions. More stages, more challenges and triumphs. But they now know they are capable of facing them with courage. Each transformation becomes a testament to their strength and adaptability, and so their journey continues with new possibilities. The performer who once feared losing the identity tied to their hair now stands boldly in front of the world, radiant and unafraid. They know that their true power does not come from the strands that fall from their head, but from the unwavering dedication that rises from within. Their story is not defined by the length of their hair, but by the depth of their passion and the spirit that keeps them stepping into the light. Night after night, as performers settle into their transformed selves, they begin to notice the subtle ways their new appearance influences not only their performances, but also the atmosphere around them. In rehearsals, their movements feel refreshed, as if their bodies recognize that something essential has shifted. The absence of weight from long hair allows their posture to lift naturally. Their spins feel sharper, their footwork more precise, and their gestures more expressive. They start to rediscover small details they once overlooked because they were too focused on maintaining the image that their old hairstyle demanded. Their creative teams also begin to adjust costumes, makeup styles, and choreography to highlight the new look. A shorter hairstyle reveals the lines of their neck and shoulders, allowing choreographers to craft movements that emphasize elegance, power, or emotion. Makeup artists amplify features that are now more visible, such as the eyes, jawline, and cheekbones. Costume designers explore new shapes and textures that complement the performer's updated aura. The entire artistic team feels the shift and responds with enthusiasm, knowing that transformation brings fresh inspiration and new artistic possibilities. Meanwhile, the performer experiences a deeper sense of control over their life and career. Their new hairstyle becomes a daily reminder that they chose change for themselves, not for approval or expectation. This realization strengthens their sense of identity. They begin to trust their own intuition more openly, making choices that align with their emotional truths rather than external pressures. They speak up more confidently during creative discussions. They express opinions that they once kept quiet, and they trust their instincts when shaping their craft. This renewed self-trust affects how they rehearse. With each run-through, they feel more aligned with the choreography, not because the moves changed, but because they themselves have changed. Their confidence radiates outward, making every gesture feel intentional and alive. Their voice feels more resonant, their energy stronger. They step into their roles fully embracing the evolution that is unfolding within them. Outside the rehearsal rooms, they notice how people respond to them differently. Friends compliment them and express how the new hair reveals their true personality. Colleagues admire their courage and openness to change. Even strangers sense something intriguing about the performer, something that draws attention in a new way. These interactions help reaffirm their inner shift, reminding them that transformation is not only visible, but also deeply felt. As they move through their daily lives, they begin to reconnect with simple pleasures that bring comfort and joy. Waking up without the heaviness of long hair feels refreshing. Running fingers through shorter hair feels soothing. Getting ready for the day takes less time, allowing moments of calm that were once rare. They enjoy the ease of movement when walking outdoors, feeling the wind touch their neck in ways they had forgotten. They rediscover small details that make the world feel new again. The performer also finds that their new appearance gives them an emotional reset. Difficult moments from the past feel further away, as if they left pieces of those memories behind when their hair fell to the floor. The change becomes symbolic of letting go of doubts, insecurities, and expectations that once weighed on them. Heaviness that they carried silently begins to dissolve, replaced by a sense of hope and possibility. Their heart feels lighter and their mind clearer. With this emotional clarity, they find themselves more receptive to new opportunities. They may take on challenges they once feared, such as new roles, new styles, or new artistic directions. They may begin to explore different genres of performance or express themselves through different mediums. They may collaborate with new people who bring fresh insights and help guide them into unexplored territory. Their transformation inspires curiosity and courage, and this combination opens doors that once seemed out of reach. As weeks pass, their connection with their audience deepens too. Fans who see their transformation feel inspired to reflect on their own lives. Many send messages sharing how the performer's courage encouraged them to change something in their own appearance, their routine, or their mindset. The performer realizes that their transformation has ripple effects far beyond the stage. It becomes a symbol of bravery and authenticity for others, reminding them that change, though frightening, can also be beautiful. This awareness fills the performer with gratitude. They understand the influence they carry, not as a burden, but as a gift. They feel honored to be a source of inspiration for people who watch them grow and evolve. Their journey becomes more meaningful because they know it touches lives in ways they never expected. Each performance becomes not just an artistic expression, but a moment of connection with those who see themselves reflected in the performer's courage. The performer also reflects on the path that brought them here, remembering the early days when they first dreamed of stepping into the spotlight. They recall the long hours of training, the countless rehearsals, and the sacrifices they made along the way. They acknowledge the fears they once held, the expectations they once felt pressured by, and the strength it took to move beyond them. Cutting their hair becomes a symbolic turning point, a moment when they chose to embrace their true self, rather than cling to a version shaped by the past. Now, as they stand backstage preparing for another show, they feel a quiet sense of peace mixed with anticipation. They touch their new hair, lightly smiling to themselves, understanding that this change marked the beginning of a new chapter. As the music starts and the lights rise, they take a deep breath, step forward, and let their renewed presence fill the stage. Their journey continues, not defined by what they left behind, but illuminated by what they are becoming. As the performer steps onto the stage once more, they carry with them all the subtle shifts that have taken place since their transformation. The new haircut has become more than a change in appearance. It has become a quiet companion, a reminder of courage and the willingness to grow. The stage lights brighten and the music begins to echo throughout the venue, but the performer feels a different kind of power this time. A grounded strength rising from within. Their movements glide with ease as if their body has finally aligned with their spirit. The audience watches as the performer commands the stage with renewed confidence. Every step feels deliberate, every gesture filled with emotion. Their new hairstyle enhances their expressions, revealing subtle details in their eyes and the contours of their face. The crowd feels more connected to them, drawn in by the honesty and authenticity that shine through. Each movement tells a story not only of the performance but of the personal journey that has led them to this moment. As the show unfolds, the performer experiences moments of profound clarity. They notice how the lights dance off their shorter hair, creating new patterns of reflection. They feel how the air moves around them during spins and transitions. They sense how freeing it is to move without the burden of heavy hair pulling behind them. This physical freedom mirrors the emotional liberation they feel inside, and it allows them to express themselves more truthfully than ever. At times, they catch glimpses of themselves in reflective surfaces on stage, panels, mirrors in the wings, or glass barriers near the musicians. Each glimpse reaffirms their transformation, reminding them that they chose this path because it felt right. The once familiar image of long flowing hair no longer feels like the version of themselves they want to present to the world. Now they see someone who is lighter, stronger, and more aligned with their inner truth. Backstage between songs, their team notices the change as well. They compliment the natural radiance in the performer's face, the ease in their movements, and the renewed spark in their eyes. Stage managers, dancers, and musicians share whispered comments about how different the energy feels tonight. Everyone senses that something special is happening, something that goes beyond the choreography or the music. It is the performer's spirit shining through, fully present and unafraid. During slower emotional songs, the performer feels their voice resonate differently. The space around their neck and shoulders is open and relaxed, and this helps their breath flow more freely. Their new hairstyle accentuates the emotional tone of the music, letting the audience see every nuance in their expression. When they lift their head and close their eyes, the crowd senses the vulnerability in that moment and their hearts respond. The connection becomes deeper and more profound than before. During high-energy songs, the freedom is even greater. Their body moves without resistance. Each spin becomes sharper, each head movement more precise. The performer feels the rhythm pulsing through them, naturally unrestrained by the weight they once carried. The crowd feels this too, responding with louder cheers, clapping, singing, and dancing along. The shared energy becomes electric, turning the performance into a celebration of transformation and renewal. As the show nears its final moments, the performer reflects silently on how far they have come. They remember the hesitation they felt before cutting their hair, the fears that whispered questions of doubt. They remember looking at the falling strands on the salon floor, wondering what their life would look like after that moment. And now, standing in the spotlight, they feel nothing but gratitude. They understand that letting go of their hair allowed them to reclaim a part of their identity they had tucked away for too long. When the final note echoes through the venue and the applause erupts, the performer bows deeply. A wave of emotion washes through them. Gratitude, joy, relief, and pride blend together in a powerful moment. They smile because they know that this performance symbolizes more than artistic expression. It symbolizes growth, acceptance, and the courage to honor their true self. After leaving the stage, they return to the dressing room where the quiet air contrasts with the roaring applause outside. They sit before the mirror, breathing slowly, letting the intensity of the show settle. They look at their reflection and see someone who has evolved, someone who has stepped boldly into a new chapter. Their hair, short and styled, simply frames their face with a sense of honesty and strength. They touch it gently, appreciating not only its appearance but the meaning behind the transformation. In this stillness, they realize that change will continue to be a part of their journey. They know they will face new challenges, new expectations, and new moments of doubt, but they also know they possess the courage to choose what aligns with their heart. Their hair will grow and change as they do. But this moment, this transformation will remain a symbol of their bravery and resilience. The performer stands, looks at themselves one more time, and smiles softly. They feel lighter, clearer, and more connected to the person they are becoming. They step away from the mirror, ready to continue their journey with renewed purpose, filled with the understanding that letting go is sometimes the greatest act of self-love and self-discovery. In the days following their performance, the performer begins to feel the ripples of their transformation, spreading into every corner of their life. The decision to cut their hair has unlocked a shift in their mindset that extends far beyond appearance. They find themselves waking up with a renewed sense of energy and clarity, as if they have shed not only the weight from their head, but the emotional heaviness that lingered inside them for years. The mirror in the morning no longer reflects uncertainty. It reflects possibility. Their morning routines become simpler but richer. They run their fingers through their hair and feel the lightness that once seemed impossible. This subtle moment reminds them that change does not always need to be dramatic to be meaningful. Their new haircut requires less time to style, but the time saved becomes a gift they use to stretch longer, breathe deeper, or simply enjoy a cup of tea without rushing. These small acts build a sense of calm that had been missing from their life during the chaos of constant performances. As they move through their day, they begin to notice how the world responds to them differently. People smile at them more easily, and they find themselves engaging in conversations with more openness and warmth. They sense the confidence radiating from within, and others sense it too. This shift in their energy creates new connections and strengthens old relationships. Friends who have known them for years remark on how refreshed and alive they seem, as if something inside them has awakened. During rehearsals, their directors and choreographers notice the changes as well. They see the performers' movements becoming more fluid and expressive. Not because the choreography changed, but because the performer feels unburdened. They watch with admiration as the performer explores each step with renewed curiosity. Their presence in the room feels more grounded and their artistic choices more intentional. The connection between emotion and movement becomes clearer and more natural. The performer also begins to explore new artistic styles and concepts. They might experiment with different genres of music or dance, discovering parts of themselves they had never accessed before. Their new appearance becomes a catalyst for creativity, encouraging them to break boundaries and question old limitations. Ideas that once felt intimidating now feel exciting. They begin taking risks artistically because they trust their instinct and feel supported by their newfound freedom. In quiet moments, they reflect on the fears they once held about cutting their hair. They remember worrying about how others might react or whether they would still feel like themselves. They remember wondering if they were brave enough to let go. And now, as they move confidently through their days, they realize how small those fears seem in comparison to the sense of liberation they feel. They understand that the anxiety they carried was not about the haircut itself, but about stepping into the unknown. The performer also notices improvements in their health and well-being. With less weight, pulling at their scalp, they experience fewer headaches and less tension in their shoulders. Their sleep quality improves as they no longer struggle with tangled hair or tight styles. Their skin appears clearer, their mood more stable. The physical benefits of the transformation ripple into emotional harmony, creating a sense of balance they did not expect. As the performer continues to appear in public, their fans embrace the change wholeheartedly. Some express admiration for the boldness of the new style, while others say they feel even more connected to the performer, now that their face and expressions are more visible. The performer reads messages filled with encouragement, gratitude, and excitement. These responses warm their heart and remind them that transformation can inspire others as much as it empowers the one who changes. In interviews, they begin to speak openly about their decision. Their honesty resonates with people who listen. They share stories of growth, vulnerability, and self-acceptance. Their words carry a sense of wisdom born from lived experience. They discover that by sharing their journey, they create a safe space for others to reconsider their own fears and desires for change. Many fans write to say that they too cut their hair or made a brave decision in their lives because the performer inspired them. This connection deepens the performer's appreciation for their craft. They realize that performance is not only about choreography, songs, or stage lights. It is about connection. It is about showing their humanity in a way that allows others to feel understood and empowered. The performer understands now that art and personal truth are intertwined. When they honor themselves, they elevate their art. When they grow, the people who follow their journey grow with them. As weeks pass, the performer begins to feel that the transformation was not a single moment, but an ongoing process. Cutting their hair was the spark, but the flame continues to burn through their choices, actions, and reflections. They find themselves embracing challenges with curiosity instead of fear, making decisions with clarity instead of doubt, and trusting their path with courage instead of hesitation. The transformation becomes a living force within them, shaping each new step they take. One evening, as they sit alone watching the city lights through their window, they reflect on the entire journey. The decision, the fear, the moment of change, the first performance, the reactions, the growth. They breathe deeply, feeling gratitude for every part of the process. They understand that change is not about abandoning the past, but about honoring who they are becoming. Their hair will grow again, and with it, new chapters will unfold. But the courage they found will stay with them forever. The performer also notices improvements in their health and well-being. With less weight, pulling at their scalp, they experience fewer headaches and less tension in their shoulders. Their sleep quality improves as they no longer struggle with tangled hair or tight styles. Their skin appears clearer, their mood more stable. The physical benefits of the transformation ripple into emotional harmony, creating a sense of balance they did not expect. As the performer continues to appear in public, their fans embrace the change wholeheartedly. Some express admiration for the boldness of the new style, while others say they feel even more connected to the performer, now that their face and expressions are more visible. The performer reads messages filled with encouragement, gratitude, and excitement. These responses warm their heart and remind them that transformation can inspire others as much as it empowers the one who changes. In interviews, they begin to speak openly about their decision. Their honesty resonates with people who listen. They share stories of growth, vulnerability, and self-acceptance. Their words carry a sense of wisdom born from lived experience. They discover that by sharing their journey, they create a safe space for others to reconsider their own fears and desires for change. Many fans write to say that they too cut their hair or made a brave decision in their lives because the performer inspired them. This connection deepens the performer's appreciation for their craft. They realize that performance is not only about choreography, songs, or stage lights. It is about connection. It is about showing their humanity in a way that allows others to feel understood and empowered. The performer understands now that art and personal truth are intertwined. When they honor themselves, they elevate their art. When they grow, the people who follow their journey grow with them. As weeks pass, the performer begins to feel that the transformation was not a single moment, but an ongoing process. Cutting their hair was the spark, but the flame continues to burn through their choices, actions, and reflections. They find themselves embracing challenges with curiosity instead of fear, making decisions with clarity instead of doubt, and trusting their path with courage instead of hesitation. The transformation becomes a living force within them, shaping each new step they take. One evening, as they sit alone watching the city lights through their window, they reflect on the entire journey. The decision, the fear, the moment of change, the first performance, the reactions, the growth. They breathe deeply, feeling gratitude for every part of the process. They understand that change is not about abandoning the past, but about honoring who they are becoming. Their hair will grow again, and with it, new chapters will unfold. But the courage they found will stay with them forever. As the performer's journey reaches the final steps of this chapter, there is a gentle understanding that every transformation, no matter how small, carries the power to shape a life. Each movement, each breath, each choice becomes a part of the story that brought them here. A story of courage, discipline, and the quiet strength needed to embrace change. When they look back, they see how far they have traveled, and when they look forward, they feel the horizon widening with possibility. Their hair, once a symbol of identity, has now become a reminder of growth. It reflects the truth that to move into the future, they must be willing to release the weight of what once was. The freedom they feel now is not simply the lightness of a new hairstyle. It is the lightness of a heart unburdened by fear and open to new beginnings. They stand with confidence, knowing that the path ahead is theirs to shape with intention and authenticity. The stage lights may fade, and the applause may settle into silence, but the transformation remains alive within them. They carry it into every rehearsal, every conversation, every dream that guides their next steps. They understand that the courage they found will continue to strengthen them as they face new challenges and new opportunities. And the world around them feels just a little brighter because they chose to honor who they truly are. To everyone who watches their journey, the message becomes clear. Change is not something to fear. Change is a way to rediscover yourself, to grow into the person you are meant to become. The performer stands in this truth with grace and quiet pride, offering their transformation as a light for others who seek their own path forward. And so the chapter closes not with an ending, but with a beginning. A beginning filled with hope, strength, and the promise of new stories waiting to unfold. The performer breathes deeply, steps forward, and continues their journey with a heart open to whatever comes next.